This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everybody. This is Jeff Lyons from Builterra, and thank you for attending the webinar today. We're going to look at the detailed Builterra mobile app today for the Apple iPad and iPhones. We decided to do a more in-depth look at just the mobile app in order to help some of the inspectors out there who are having trouble navigating or needing more information on the way the mobile app works. And hopefully this session will cover that. Next week, we are going to be doing the Google Android mobile device. So we should be able to handle any questions on that next week. So if everybody's set, you can use the chat window to contact me if you have questions during the session or after the session. I have everybody muted in case you're wondering why you can't hear other people ask questions. Okay, so let's get started. This is a fairly busy agenda. We're going to look at sort of the getting started as well, because some people want to know sort of the ins and outs of how to log in and register the account, that sort of thing. We will be going through the basics. In other words, these are the very basics of the app and part of the framework of how the app works. So it's not going to get into very complex data entry, but it will be going through the basic photo inspection and the more complex daily site visit inspection. We will look a little bit at the web portal, but this session is going to focus mainly on the mobile app. So we'll do another webcast on the web portal editing, that sort of thing. So if you are just new to Builterra, we do a little overview on our webcast. So this is what we do. We take care of data entry, not just from field inspection, but from preparing the bid and Civil 3D and all that sort of thing. So we take care of the entire contract administration workflow from design all the way through to as-built. So this is the section we're going to be reviewing today using the mobile app. Again, this is our integrated Builterra platform, starting in Civil 3D if you want, and then moving bid data all the way through into the schedule unit prices. And you can do some bid comparisons and some private bidding through that portal. The mobile app is what we're going to be looking at today. So you'll see the ins and outs of the app itself and how to review the reports. And finally, the progress certificates, which is the most value when you're connecting an awarded bid to the mobile inspection. So this is where it really starts to pay off when you start doing these daily reports. The Builterra overview. So this is the project map. It can display shapefiles in the background. You can geolocate all of your projects in the mapping environment. The inspection piece we'll be looking at today. So theming the pins. So this, again, we'll look at a more in-depth inspection portal webinar at some point in the future. All of the photos going to a photo map feature. So the photos you're collecting on the session today will be all moving into the photo map portal. The cost estimating and the bidding portal here. So that's the tendering piece. And providing bid preparation and cost estimating, exporting everything to Excel. So we play nice with Excel here, moving a schedule unit prices out to a formatted document. The project map is the core of the system. In other words, this is what everything is submitting to. So all of your inspection data will be in real time submitted to the project map. So it is geolocated, so all your projects will be in a mapping environment. Part of the mobile app is to be able to zero in on the closest project where you're standing, so we'll show that in a second. All the photos and marketing details, custom details are all stored in the project map. So if you're not familiar, if you're an inspector and wondering what they're doing in the office, this is how they're seeing your work done through the mapping environment. Again, we're importing and overlaying shape files from GIS into the map just for a reference. And if you're not familiar with the map portal, we'll show a quick video of what it looks like. This is the icon menu that navigates you to each portal in the system. So you have project map, tender, and inspect, plus all the settings and things like that. So navigating the system using your web browser on a laptop is the idea. So you should be able to zoom into any project and theme the pins. And so this just provides an overview for the inspectors that are attending today's webinar. Yep. All right. And you can search for projects and review all of that in real time. All right. Just close down my Skype here. All right, so marketing details, the external team, all of that is in the project portal, including tasks and files. So files is very important because we'll be using a drawing markup tutorial today, and this is where the files are uploaded into the project. So keep that in mind when we get to that stage in the webinar. So getting started, these are the inspectors that haven't joined yet. You'll want to register for Builterra first. You want to make sure your rights to the inspection portal are set in case you can't, for some reason, do an inspection. And you want to install the mobile app. So these are the three big things you need to do before you can get started. Registering is as easy as going to the website. You should receive an email if you've been asked to join an account. So if you're new to Builterra, you'll receive this email with a link to the registration site. Okay, so you'll click on register after you add your information. Corporate account, so this means that the inspections can only be performed on a corporate account. So right now, if you're just logged in as a personal account, you can't really do any inspections. You have to create or join a corporate account in order for the inspections to happen. So if you're brand new to Builterra, you'll go ahead and create a corporate account. If you've been asked to join an account, then as soon as you log in, you should see the current account that you've been asked to join. So it's pretty simple either way. So you create the account. So creating the account, I mean, I set up a fake company for today's webinar called Skyrim Engineering, and you'd fill in your details and go ahead and register the account. So this is the basics of setting that up. So this is the part where under the managing the account, so if you're part of an existing corporate account, you'll want to make sure that you have at least an editor role in the inspection team. So editor means you can create data, edit data. If you're a viewer, you can't do that, and the viewer is the default setting when you're adding new people here. So make sure that gets changed to editor. The inspect option gives you 4 different levels of rights over the inspection. So down below, you'll see a little reminder of what they can do. So the inspector can create and edit their own inspections. Coordinator can do the same thing and also create forms. The supervisor can do inspections and then edit other inspections. And of course, admin is full control over everything. So this is very important when you're assigning these permissions to the team. So you want to make sure that you get that right. The tender is also very important. So if you're not included in the tender option here, that means you can't access the awarded bid to do contract quantities. So if you're just doing photo data collection, maybe lock grading or erosion sediment control reports, just your basic field inspection, then you don't need the tender option. The user means that you can access the tender items in an awarded contract. So you have to be at least an inspector and a user in order to access the contract quantity items. If you're a tender manager, you can perform payment certificates and do full tender editing and change orders, this kind of thing. So depending on what you're doing with the tender, that status will also change. The inspection form configuration, we're not going to really get into it in this session because it's more for the administrators of the site. This session today is about the mobile inspector, the field inspector, using the app. We'll just give you a heads up as to what this looks like. The only thing you should be aware of is that the sync option on your mobile phone will bring any changes from the configuration changes. So if somebody's making a change or adding a new field, then you'll have to use the sync option on your phone to make sure they're up to date. So this is up to the inspection coordinator to make sure everybody's up to date with the latest forms and the latest changes. This is what the editor looks like. So basically in this demo today, we'll be looking at the photo report and the daily report. So two different kinds of inspections. And so like I said, any table changes or changes in the advanced settings are done by the coordinator or the administrator, and the inspector can sync the phone to get those changes. The templates option is located here as well, and we will be discussing templates. They're very important for rapid data entry. So part of our review recently was, are you being more productive with the mobile app? And templates was, the most important thing people can do to help themselves to enter information quicker. So templates will be reviewed slightly in this session. And if you're not aware of it, you should talk to your inspection coordinator. Okay, so all your details, fields, if you don't have the right field or you're missing fields, then again, make sure that this gets added to the inspection form so it can be synced with the mobile devices. Okay, installing the mobile app for the Apple products, you're going to be going to the Apple iTunes Store. Just on your device, you can go to the App Store and download Builterra. It's free as long as you have pre-registered with your email and password. Then you can log in and start using the app. So it's as easy as going to the App Store, essentially. Okay, it's important that it's the same email and the same password that you set on the website. So performing a mobile inspection, what we'll do is we'll go through the slides and kind of walk through it slowly, and then we'll do a live demo with the connected iPad that I have today. So before we get started, once you log in, I kind of wanted to go through this framework of what a form actually is. And a form is this mobile form for the photo inspection is what we call a simple form. It has 5 components. The first one is a general details. So this is your geolocation, your name of the form, name of the report, and some basic notes. So this, when we started the Builterra app many years ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago, this was the very only fields you could enter. So we kept the general details tab, and so it's a bit of a carryover from our very first release of the app. The map location viewer is a setting that you have to set, and we'll look at that in a second when we get into the app screens. So you have to tell it to display the map through the settings options. The details is where you get to add whatever data you want to the inspection. So if you're missing details, please get the mobile forms updated by talking to the coordinator, and they can add the details for you. These details are Could be anything, could be everything from a hydrovac to a lock rating, invert inspection, whatever you need. Basically, Builterra is just like having a blank slate, and you can configure it to do anything. The photos and the documents, the docs option is new. We'll be going through it today. And it's really handy. So especially if you're doing a quick markup on a drawing, this is not like your full-blown document management systems. This is just one step above taking a picture of a marked up paper copy. So it's really super easy, and if you're not using it, great opportunity to start using it. The photos option's been around since day one. The option to add captions, and keep in mind that every single photo you add to the report has its own independent geolocation. So even though you might be doing, say, a sidewalk inspection, you can walk along and take multiple pictures, and each photo has its own latitude and longitude as well. So that's really handy to know when you're doing the pictures. So if I've got a series of these mobile app on the iPad, we will go through them at a pace that hopefully you can understand the very basics of how this works. And then we'll do a little live demo at the end so you can see how the interaction looks on the live iPad. This should work the same on an iPhone. I don't think there's any difference whatsoever. It's the same app. So that's why we're doing a separate session next week with the Android, because they are a little different with the interfaces. So first thing I want to do is, once you log in, you get, basically you can start doing inspections right away, but it's handy to know what the action menu is. So the action menu is this thing, this square box with an arrow in the top right-hand corner of the app. So I keep referring to the action menu throughout the webinar. And so the action menu allows you to do certain things in the current screen that you're in. In this case, you're going to see all the basics of the app itself. So the settings, the logout, tasks, these are tasks assigned to you through the project portal. Sync data is what we talked about, syncing a project and changes in the tenders, and basically it's very handy to do a sync data on a regular basis. It's also used to upload drafts if you're unconnected. Files or documents can be accessed through here for viewing. So if you have tender documents or project documents you want to just take a quick look at, you can just go direct to the docs from here. You don't have to get into an inspection to do it. Okay, so we're going to look at the settings first. The settings, this is all about sorting and filtering. And the two things we're going to look at today are the show map and the show docs. So if those are enabled, then you'll be able to see the mapping options and the documents option. So it's important that you turn that on if you want to do this after the session on your own. Okay, so once you've set that, you can simply go back. There's a Builterra in the top left-hand corner. There's a little breadcrumb link there called Builterra with an arrow. You just click on that, it'll take you back to the main screen. So that's sort of how the navigation works. You kind of go back and forth. In order to create your brand new inspection, your photo inspection, you have to pick the photo report. We've only got two reports in this sample, one called photo, one called daily. Like I said, you can have multiple inspection forms for any situation. You'll pick a project, so you can pick it from the spinner down below, or there's a little target in the far right-hand corner of that edit box. So it'll geolocate yourself based on where you're standing. So it'll find the closest project. So it's very handy for if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't remember what project number it is for some reason, you can pick that and it'll get you closest to the right project. So once you select Create New Inspection, that's the link, Create New Inspection, that blue text. Once you start creating the inspection, you can adjust the inspection timestamp. That was a big request our users had. The get location information will pull in the actual geolocation of where you're standing within the cell phone's accuracy or the device's accuracy. The weather, everything is based on that latitude and longitude. The address as well. If you have Civil 3D alignments, in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a plug-in extensions for Civil 3D that allow you to upload alignments and actually get the station and offset of where you're standing. So we'll review that during that session. The report name and the notes, like I said, these are the general details. These are the things that were set up initially with the product, and we left them in because people are used to them, but you can make the report name mandatory, so you have to name the report, but you don't have to if it's not mandatory. So the report name is nice to have. You go ahead and type it in, and then down on the bottom of the device, you'll see these icons. So you'll see general, map, details, photos, and docs. So if you look down, you should see these icons. Sometimes the keyboard will they'll override these, and you have to get rid of your keyboard in order to see them in some cases. So the map option will show a Google map, and you can push your finger on the pin to move that pin around to get maybe a little bit better accuracy with the geolocation. Just an FYI, we are integrating our Android version with the Trimble Catalyst this fall, so that's exciting news for people who want to do less than 10 centimeter accuracy using a cell phone. So we'll announce that when it's available. And for now, we'll only work with Android. The actual details, so these are the various details or data that you're going to collect. So in this case, there's only one field called location. You could have a whole form of things. Could be health and safety. It could be, inverts, could be utilities. I mean, any fields you want, you can pick up here. So the location will be picked up. A pull down list would be nice, like a lookup list, or you can just type it in. Depends how they set it up in the configuration. Adding photos, you can add one or more photos. So you just pick on the photo app, icon, it'll show you take photo, add from a gallery, or draw a simple sketch. So various ways you can add a image to your report. So if you go ahead and take a photo, pretty typical cell phone picture. I mean, it's good to get the orientation right, by the way, so you're not having to rotate things back in the office. So make sure you practice a little bit so you know which way to hold your phone. And just go ahead and take the shot and use that photo. So now you've got your photo. That's the very first thing you need to do for a photo report. You can go ahead and caption the photo and then select the save option, just like that. So once it's saved, you can add more photos. So you can keep going around and around and picking add sketch or add photo as needed. If you want to mark this photo up with your finger, like do a little red line, you can just hold your finger down on the photo and it'll bring you into a markup screen. It's not real clear, so I'm glad we're having this session today so you can kind of get used to this concept of just holding your finger on the photo, and it'll bring up the photo editor. So if you select the markup option, it'll bring you into this screen, and then you can kind of set the color and the thickness of the line. You can mark up the photo with your finger, and once you're happy with the markup, you can select save. So save will save that markup, and you'll have to hit save again because it's considered an editing procedure, so it's a double save. We'll try and reduce the number of clicks at some point once we start refining the app. So once we've got the photo added, we've got some details added. Under the action menu in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see these new options for the report. So one of them is submit. So there's others, obviously, copy, delete, this kind of thing, but submit is what you need to do. So that means it'll be submitted to the server and ready in real time for whoever's in the office looking at this stuff. So once you submit, that's it. you've created your first inspection, and there it is. There's my congratulations. So that's the procedure. So no matter what you're doing, it's always the same idea. You're doing general details, the location map, you're marking up a photo or taking a photo, and it can be as simple as that, even if it's a complex data collection exercise. The draft inspections are things that you're in the middle of doing an inspection and somebody interrupts you and you have to do something else, and if you leave the app for any reason, it'll automatically create a draft, and these drafts are unsubmitted inspections. So these could be, you're doing an inspection, but you don't want to send it over your cell phone, or you want to wait till you get to Wi-Fi, things like that. That could also be considered a draft. So these are semi-completed or completed inspections that just haven't transmitted to the server. The sync option will send all of the drafts. So under that action menu that we were talking about. Okay, so you'll go ahead and add some notes to a draft. In other words, you can reselect the draft and edit things and add more photos. So throughout the day, if you want to keep adding inspection photos to the same inspection, you can do that. You don't have to submit right away. And then when you're ready, you'll go ahead and submit. And sync data, like I said, will send all of the drafts as well. So if you go to a coffee shop, you can send them through the sync data option over Wi-Fi. Okay, so draft inspections is pretty handy to know about. The sent inspections is something that's already been sent to the server. So these have already been sent through, they're posted to the website. You'll see anything that you've sent that day, and you can always say, something, I forgot to add something. I want to add more information to that same inspection. So sent inspections, you can reselect the inspection you've already sent, edit the general details or the location or anything you want. You can add more photos if you want. And then instead of submitting, there's an option called update when you select the action menu. So update will resend an updated version of that same report. So it's very handy to do this, especially if you've sent stuff and need to change it without having to go to the website. Marking up a project file. If you select the docs option, this is new, so you probably haven't seen this yet. So what you'll have to do is tell your project coordinator to update a PDF version of, say, a drawing or drawings to the web through their web portal. And once you select docs, you'll see all of those drawings appear. Okay, and you can go ahead and select this drawing here. This is a Project 72.1 drawing, and preview it if you just want to look at drawings. So this is a really simplified document system, and you'll be able to zoom in, look at the actual drawings, and if that's all you want to use it for, you can just use it as a viewer. If you go ahead and select the action menu, you can actually mark up the drawing. So mark up the drawing means that you can do the same type of finger sketch on the photo on a drawing. So this is really handy for asphalt cuts or utility cuts, any kind of as-built markup. Just mark up the drawing, use your finger, then hit save. Saving it will save it actually to the photos. Editing, sorry about that. My thing got out of it. So saving this inspection markup will actually save it in the photos as a photo. So when you resubmit or update the inspection, it'll come out in the photos gallery. It doesn't come out in a special markup. It's just almost like a screenshot. Okay. Emailing the inspection, you'd have to go through, you have to submit your inspection before you can email it. So that's the only rule here, because the server the server is actually doing the emailing. So when you select the sent inspections, you can grab it, previously submitted inspection, and then go right to the action menu and pick email. So you'll email the inspection that's already been previously submitted and type in an email address, Or if you've got groups pre-assigned, again, you'd have your coordinator set up an email group for the project, and you can go ahead and email the report directly from your device. Okay, now I'm not doing live because I notice I'm running a little out of time. I get chatty here, so I think this is good enough for now. We're going through these slides one at a time. So once the inspection's been sent, you can go to the web portal, or you can use even the device on the new Chrome browser. I noticed has very nice viewing capability. You'll select, once you log into the website, you'll go to the inspect portal, and then you can review what you've already sent. If you've never done an inspection, then you won't see that this project has any photo report data. So if there's no data, you won't see the inspection form. It only appears once you've performed at least one inspection. You'll go ahead and browse an inspection, check the details, review the photos. You can edit, produce the reports, all of that through the browser. And again, we'll do a more detailed session about web editing next time. So this is our generic photo report. This comes right out of the box with a brand new account. Typically, you would have one that's all pre-customized to your format. Okay, so moving forward with the daily, it's basically the same kinds of interactions then with the photo. In other words, it's, you're picking information, adding it, and submitting it. So the daily progress inspection is slightly different, other than it has what you call a parent. So the simple one has just simply a mobile form with details. This one has what you call a mobile form parent. In other words, the header of a report. And then they have tables. So think of Excel. You have to think of the idea of a tab in Excel, and each table is a tab. So labor, equipment, materials, testing, visitors, these are different tables within the parent form. So this is what confuses some people around the daily, is they get a little bit lost in the mobile app when they don't understand the framework. So you can put as many tables as you want under a parent. In other words, as many tabs or as many tables as required to collect all of the data required for a daily report. Okay, so if you pick the daily report now on the mobile app, this changes from create new inspection to create a new parent inspection. So you'll notice the wording is a little different here. So parent means that top form, and a parent looks exactly the same as a regular simple form. So it has general details, it has a map, it has details, and these are just your if you think about a daily report, they usually be your high end, your header of the report, right? Whether it was a working day or not. So you can add as many details as you want here. You could even put health and safety details in here, whatever you want. You can take photos and add them to the parent format. Do drawing markups, whatever you want to do. So this could be, what this report's about today. You're going to pave this area. So instead of submitting it, you're going to create it. Again, it's all about the wording here. So the creation of a parent means that it's now available for editing by any other inspector with access to that project. So once you create, it creates an open daily report or an open report. And so we created one called September 19th DPR. And so now that report, if all the other inspectors sync their phone, they will now see that report. They can also contribute their information to the daily report if they're on site. So it's not just about your own phone. It can be spread out throughout the team. Okay, and that's done through syncing. So if you want to edit the daily, like all the table information, then you'll go ahead and select that form. And now we get the actual tables. So we have new contract items, equipment, labor, and remarks. Those are just the 4 tables we have right now. You could add more tables through the configuration process. So You can even edit the parent information from here. So if you weren't happy with the the length of the day or who the contractor was, you can go to edit parent information and edit that and update that information. So if it's more than, I think, 6 tables, then you'll get a spinner at the bottom of the iPhone or the iPad. So we limit that. If there's not that many tables, we just put them as links. So when you pick labor, you'll go ahead and pick the general labor type. Again, a lookup list would be really handy here. You put in the number of laborers and how many hours they're going to work that day. And so this would be just one line item in that labor table. So think of Excel, you have a row, you're picking labor. Think of it that way. You have just one line item that produces this information, which is great if you're just doing one set of general laborers. You can just type it in and you're good, right? So once you're happy with that, it's very similar to the simple report. You're just going to submit that information. It's like a very small amount of information being submitted. So you submit the labor. You'll go ahead and submit equipment. You go ahead and submit remarks. So the same way, you can just go one item at a time throughout the day, So that's great. If you want to do a drawing markup to the remark, that's what we're going to look at here. You can go ahead and, again, throughout the day, you're adding small remarks, but maybe you want to take a picture or add a drawing markup. So if you pick add new remarks again, then you can add a remark. Okay, looks good. Pavement area was removed. And instead of submitting right away, you could add a photo. Down below, you'll see the icons, photos and docs. So if you pick docs, you go ahead and pick that same drawing that was uploaded to the project. And there it is there. So you'll zoom in with your fingers and you'll go through the markup process the same way you did with the regular photo markup. You'll pick an area, save it. If you now select the photos option, it's actually taken that document markup and put it in photos, and that's what I hadn't shown you before in the regular photo markup. So this is moving that sort of screenshot into, they think it's a photo, they think it's an image. So you can go ahead and press down on it and remark it up or add a caption, treat it like a photo, in other words. And you go ahead and submit. So once you're happy with this remarks, you'll submit it just like any other one-line item, submit. So it'll produce a preview of the report. This is just our generic one. It's usually you'll have a custom one that you can maybe even get a sign off from the contractor if need be around quantities, that sort of thing. Previewing the daily report is done through there's a view PDF option on there. Okay, setting up templates is done by the coordinator. So back on the website under the daily report, there's this templates tab. Templates, you can have as many as you want. You can have visitors, like templates for visitors, templates for labor and equipment, combinations. You can even put comments, like prefab comments that you would like to have handy. Okay, you can add, once you create a template, say in this case, an excavation crew of some sort, say create new. You can add your different equipment types. Okay, you want to be more specific than me here. Different labor types, even different remarks could be added, prefab remarks if need be. So these are all the combinations for the excavation crew, right? And if the coordinator has set it up right, then you'll see all of these different templates. So when you, instead of selecting one labor item at a time, you'll pick templates. And templates will actually show you the list of prefab entries. So if you select the excavation crew now, and then you can adjust the numbers of what was in the crew. So if it's 2 backhoes versus 1, et cetera, et cetera. So it batch processes this concept of typing in a whole bunch of information at once and then submitting it as one piece. So once you're happy with these numbers, you can select the submit link, and that will send all of that information to the server. And if you preview it, then all of that information is in real time sent to the server. So the templates are super important to reduce your amount of data entry on the mobile device. The mobile forms with contract items is exactly the same as the daily report here, but there's a fourth table called contract items. So this is, again, your coordinator will select a table called contract items, or whatever they want to call it, pay items, and they'll tell the form configuration that you need to look for awarded tender items. So this is part of the form configuration system. So when you select the contract items from that menu, it will query the server for any awarded bids or tenders. Okay, so if it finds one, then you can go ahead and start doing quantities. If you don't see anything, it means that they haven't awarded the bid yet. So it's very important that if you're expecting to see something there and there's nothing there, you need to call somebody and get them to award either a historic bid that you've typed in or an actual bid that was put through the system. So if you don't see anything, then you need to make a call to the coordinator or the project manager. So contract items, it'll go through all of the section groups in the contract. It'll you'll grab the individual pay item table, in this case the removals, and you'll see that it pulls up the item description and the quantity type. So this is a lump sum item. So if you're doing water, wastewater, or architectural stuff, you can use Builterra to do lump sum items. If it's quantities like linear meters, you'll see the quantities or how many items, like each. So you'll see the quantity type and how much has been built to date. Okay, so when you select it, you can actually type in, it's a 25% done, so 0.25. So it's important that for lump sum items, you put in 0.25, not 25. Okay, and you could put in some extra details like the station and offset or any other field notes that you want. And once you select the action item, then you submit that quantity. So you can very quickly submit that quantity for, in this case, the removal. And now the removals will come out in the preview of the PDF. And as you collect quantities throughout the day, they'll start tracking, right? So you can start adding now all of your daily report items throughout the day, including contract items. What if you want to make adjustments to what you've already sent? Well, this is called review mode. So just doing a time check, we got about 8 minutes left here. So review mode means that any previously submitted information can be reviewed and edited and updated. So the default for the app is create mode. If you look under the action menu here, you can switch to review mode. So you would flip-flop between the two modes depending on what you're doing. So switch to review mode will actually show you a list in the current daily progress report, September 19th report. It'll show you every single contract item, equipment, labor that you've previously submitted. So even if you use a template, it still sees them as individual items. So if you want to edit anything, including, say, the number of hours they worked or the number of people, you can go ahead and edit all of this stuff through review mode. So it's very handy to have that versus going to the website at the end of the day or in the evening or something. So if you wanted to go through and edit a remark, this sample shows you picking the first remark, adding another drawing markup. So you can go ahead and pick the remark and say, well, I really want to add more information to that because, I got interrupted or something. So you can say revise the markup based on the new area of removal. So that's what I just added to that remark. And you can select the update command from the action menu. So once you update, it will send that revised markup information. And basically anything that you've previously submitted can be marked up through this review mode. When you're ready to do add more information, you go back to create mode. So you would go through the action menu and select create. Switch to create mode. So reviewing the daily inspection, this happened by chance. I updated my Chrome browser on my iPad, and it actually reacted quite well to the Builterra app. Usually I show the computer screen when I'm reviewing a progress report, but if you do have an iPad, it comes out quite nice. I'm not sure how it comes out on the iPhone. So I use the new Google Chrome, and you can use any Chrome, by the way. You can just use your laptop with a hotspot if you had to. You can log in. This is actual screen captures from my iPad, so it's quite good. And so when you pick the inspect, it shows you the inspection portal, just like on the computer. You can go and look at all your information for the daily report, and so you can satisfy yourself that it all got submitted properly. And you can review the quantity items here. So each tab is just like the tables on the mobile report. You can pick all that through. Labor, equipment, all the remarks are there, all the photos and markups are there. So that's your daily report, all done with the iPad. You can go ahead and review the PDF version of it. Okay, there it is with all the photos attached. And nice, I like that drawing markup tool, it's really handy. This is the web portal version of the same thing. By the way, I've got a little note here. Edit inspection requires access to laptop, not mobile compliant. So I think what's happening is it's quite good for viewing, but the controls we're using in the web portal don't support the iPhone. So for now, let's just use it as a viewer. If you're looking to edit the inspections, make sure you use your laptop computer. And so you can do the same thing. You'll log in. Looks exactly the same through the computer, and this time you can actually edit. If you hit the use the orange pencil there, you can actually edit the inspection quite easily, and it'll bring you into the editor. And this is where you can add new drawings, manage photos, move the location of the pin, basically everything. You can add new contract items if you had to directly through this interface here. You can even use the templates through this interface. So it's some people actually just use the laptop to do an inspection if they're not using their phones. So all the reviews are also done through here. So once you're happy with the inspection, you can mark it as reviewed, and then the administrator will know that you're happy with it. If you're looking to externally review it through the contractor, you would type in their email address or an email notification list, and then you would select request review. So that's down here in the lower corner of the screen here. So this is the approvals process here. Okay. To generate a payment certificate, now this isn't really part of the mobile app suite, but it's important that sometimes inspectors don't know that their work is actually translating from the daily report all the way through to the payment certificate. So some inspectors might say, well, you know, it's not as fast as using a pencil. Well, you know, it's maybe, but the value here is that this information goes directly to the report when you're finished. You don't have to do anything at the end of the day around Word or Excel. It all exports direct to Word or Excel that you can send off to the owner. And you can generate a progress certificate automatically. So this is the real value here, is when you're generating these quantities through the mobile app, it produces the quantity payment certificate automatically. So again, I kind of reviewed the payment certificate on my iPad for fun. Again, you can't create a progress certificate through the app, but you can certainly review the progress. You'll log into the website. You pick the tender option this time and not the inspect. So once you pick tender, it shows you the awarded tender, and all of the inspection details are you can zoom in and take a look at all of the information that's been inspected. So you'll see that there's a percentage of quantities that are inspected for the removals. That's what we typed in that 0.25. Well, there it is there on the progress payment dashboard. So you can kind of keep track of that with your mobile device. Again, you'd want to use the website to actually produce the PC. And we're getting close to the end of the webinar here. So when you log into Tender, there's the same screen that you saw on the mobile device. If you select the blue pencil, it will take you to the Generate Progress Payment Certificate. When you get to that screen, there's a green cross, and the green add, it's really an add symbol, not a cross, and it'll generate this dialog box here that says create a new payment certificate. So you can put in the date range, and that's it. You would just create, and it produces a summary of all the inspections between those two dates. You can see the inspection review status, which is very important. So once people are doing the reviewing process, you'll see who didn't do the review and why it's missing. When you select missing, it'll take you to the actual inspection. So it's very handy to see who didn't do the reviews yet, including the contractor, by the way. So if reviewing externally, they didn't update it, you'll see that. You can drill into the actual payment certificate sections here. So when you select removals, it'll actually produce, a summary of the removals table group, and then the actual table called the removals here. So you can see the 0.25 lump sum here with the payable cost to date. So this is very simplified for our example today. The details link is super important because as a contract administrator, you can go ahead and select that, and it'll show you every inspection that contributed to that one number. So throughout the month, you're going to be keeping a track of this stuff. And if you're interested, you can select the view inspection link, and it'll push you back to that editor that you saw previously. So this is a full circle integrated payment certificate system. So it takes you back to that, and you can review the contract items. If you have rights to edit the inspection as a tender manager or an administrator of the inspection system, you can actually edit the quantities. All of the information is stored in a historical diary here. So Show History will produce a report on who's edited what, so you can keep track of that. So once you've gone through this process, the payment certificate system is your icing on the cake. So it's very important that the inspectors, when they adopt the app, are happy and they're using it, and that everybody else along the line benefits. If you have any questions, I will look through the web portal. I've got one question here. Is it possible to duplicate an existing template? No. I don't think we can actually duplicate a template, but that's something we could add, I think. Absolutely. Good suggestion. In other words, we did put in something recently that allows you to copy previous comments, anything, instead of using a template. So we'll produce a video on that when it's released. Sorry, Mark, we don't have that yet, but I'll put it in the suggestion box. Any other questions here? If you have it, just use the chat window and I can go through that with you. All right. Okay, and we do a lot of training in-house. So if you have training requests, Jordan, who does the manual and does some of our training, happy to come out and work with you on a job and handhold you if you need help with the app. It's very important that we know that you're having problems, I guess, because we don't want anybody not being able to use the app, because it really does affect everybody down the line if they can't do these quantities. Okay, well, Mark, thanks, Jeff. Okay, Mark, I'm just getting used to this chat system here. Yeah, so I think that terminates this webcast. We are going to post it to the YouTube channel. So if you want to rewatch it and go through some of the stuff on your own, you can. And definitely give us a call if you want to set up any on-site training. Really interested in helping you guys. So have a great afternoon, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week.